All right. You'll probably have to forgive my voice because for whatever reason, I don't know why my allergies is I don't know. So all of a sudden now I went from having one of those kind of high pitched voices to now I got like a Barry White kind of voice. I don't know. My voice does this crap every now and again. Maybe I'm still going through puberty at 36. I have no idea. Anyways, my point of doing this video was I was having a great conversation with myself, which I often do because I'm here by myself and the wife and the kids are on vacation. Well, their first vacation. Um, so I was talking about to myself how the reasons why dudes aren't getting the memo about these females not being worth your time, especially a lot of these younger females, because they came from the parents of an era where men were minimalized and devalued, and so they've been given this false sense of value. And because a lot of these young boys are being raised by single mothers, they're not those single moms, unlike my single mom and my grandmother, who understood that it was important for me, not because I didn't have my biological father who wanted to be in my life, understood it was important for me to be around men who were in, like something I think I said in the preview of my uncles, who were married, had children within the marriage, and they were hard workers. They sought that as a very important thing for me to see. So me being a product of a single mother gives me what I feel the perfect segue into talking about stuff like this, because I suffered from both sides, right? So as I was growing up, I didn't see women. A lot of the other, I would say a lot of the other single moms that my mother knew always used to ask me all the time, "Where's my girlfriend? Where's my girlfriend? How come I don't got a girlfriend?" And I was never like, I like girls, don't get me wrong, but it was like I wasn't trying to deal with that headache, because there's a headache that comes when you got a girlfriend. Because when you got a girlfriend, she gonna want time. She gonna want you to spend time with her. She gonna want you to do things with her. Like I'm like, look, I'm my own man. Back then, me and my partner, well, when we used to rap together, we dubbed this thing called Boss God, and we used to say I'm the boss god of my life, meaning I'm over what the hell I want to do in my life. I'm not gonna let no female tell me what I need to do. So I had that mentality for a long time, and I wasn't just gonna just get a girlfriend and have to deal with the nagging and the stuff that comes along with, oh, where are we gonna go do this on the weekend, or where are we gonna do on Friday? Nah, I'm not trying to deal with all that. Not at that time. I wasn't really mentally ready for that. And it was weird how I was so mature at like age 13, 14, 15, where a lot of my peers were busting nuts at that age. Um, I didn't really get in. I didn't have sex until I was like 16. So like 20 years ago, I started having sex. So a lot of my peers were already having sex years before I was. Now, I brought all that up, and then I segued into the whole DNA thing, meaning it's scientifically proven that when you have one partner, then I say they have many sexual partners. You have the female partner, let's say she have many sexual partners. When these two people come together and connect, there's an exchange of DNA. So you have DNA from the man's where the man's put his penis, from all these other females. And on top of that, all the dudes that they slept with, and vice versa on the female. So there's no wonder why there's not a shortage of mental health issues in the black community, because you have so many people sleeping around with each other that you can only imagine what the alteration of one individual's DNA is. Even though the man is changed, he is not changed as much as the female, especially if the female brings forth a child. Once the female brings forth a child with one man, that man's DNA is forever in, like, etched in stone in her DNA code. So when another man comes along and does the same thing, that man's child is going to not only have his DNA and the mother's DNA and the grandparents and et cetera, but also that man's DNA too, are his parents and grandparents, et cetera, et cetera. So now you're crossing all these DNA strands amongst each other, and it's causing a mental breakdown, and you can see it. And it's the spiritual side of the attack that nobody is seeing. See, once you bust a nut, that's not the end all be all. There's a lot of things that go on after you ejaculate in a female, and the females don't understand that because nobody is taking the time to explain to them, when you let a man come inside you, he's putting his literal, like, it's like he is hacking your computer. He is putting a Trojan virus inside of you that's going to hack your DNA and change it. That's why that's why the whole thing of having children out of wedlock was such a big deal, because if there's no commitment there and there's no reason for the two to stay together, then this woman and man can go around mingling DNAs to the point of it's just going to be crazy. And because there's no visual effect. So if this man has a baby with this woman, yeah, the baby is going to look like her, it's going to look like him, but internally, the way that it's wired is going to have all of this DNA in it from different people that are not just the two that had the baby. To me, it's very important, at least when my sons get to that age. I'm gonna explain this stuff to them. This is stuff that I didn't know nothing about, and I had to take the time to do the research because I'm that kind of dude. Because the way my grandmother raised me was to keep asking why. Ask why till you're blue in the face. And a lot of people don't ask why. They don't ask, okay, why is it that the women and these young women and these young boys, young men, are just out here lost. And it's like you can see, like, there's this everlasting confusion in their eyes of, they don't know what their destiny is. They don't know what their purpose is in life, because the way they were born, they weren't born in preparation. They were just born because dude thought, she was on birth control, or she lied and said she was, and it wasn't even like the child was wanted. It was just a byproduct because the government funds this. And that was the last segue, which is that all this is government backed and funded, because I'm sure that just like the government does test researches on everything else, they've done the test researches on this, which is why they kept pushing the whole single motherhood agenda. That's why a lot of these politicians were pushing the single mother agenda. See, when you have a bunch of weak-minded people, then they're easily manipulated and you can easily dominate over them. So when you have a DNA confused individual, they have no idea what's what, because naturally they're wired in confusion. That's what makes the Chinese so unique, because they're at a, like 90% homogeneous, so they don't mix a lot. They pretty much, not saying that there's no divorce and there's, but for the most part they stay together and they only have children with one individual. Matter of fact, I think the government had a ban where you couldn't have, I think, more than one or two children. So again, just to show you how the government can impact societal everyday living. So if the government is backing you, the female, going in and having multiple children by multiple men, they know that that's causing confusion, DNA wise, because I'm sure they got scientists that study DNA and understand the DNA strands and how they interact and how it wires a person. So if you can hardwire a person to be easily manipulated with such as the current state is with black people today, where if you go out and you say you put out an opposing side of you, and you say, yeah, I don't think slavery was forced upon us. I think it was a choice. You can then have a bunch of people get so upset to the point of they will go online, tweet all day, call for boycotts, etc., etc. And at the end of the day, never address the meaningful topic at hand. So I won't make this video long, but I just, sometimes I just, like I said, I have these thoughts, and I just wanted to share because I have a lot of these conversations within myself, because I I'm in a time now where literally all I have is myself to talk to, because I can't these kind of conversations sometimes I have with my mom, which is why I said sometimes I wish I could record them. But I don't think black people really understand how deep this goes, and a lot of it is self-perpetuated. So once the government affected one generation and brainwashed them, then that brainwashing was then passed down through generations and through the confusion of DNA. I'll leave at this point. I'm from a small city in upstate New York called Troy. Now, I swear I was born in Albany, but I was raised in Troy. I have all these cousins in Troy. All these cousins. None of them accidentally slept with each other. None of them, even by accident, none of them slept with each other. I find that hard to believe. That's why I'm saying we have to be really mindful of who we're laying down with, understanding that majority of these females, they don't have a value. Their value is what they can take from you, and stop valuing the worthless. And it's hard to not, because that's all that's really out there. That's the vast majority. The vast majority of these females that are out here in the community are worthless. They just are. They don't bring anything to the table, and they're not trying to bring anything to the table. It's one thing if you can't bring something to the table and you're trying, and there's another thing when you know you ain't bringing anything to the table, but you still come to the table with an expectation. AKA that Asia, was it Asia Johnson, whatever it was, who made that comment about LeBron's 154 million contract. Your league never turned a profit. Your league is supported by the NBA that just paid LeBron 154 million dollars. Why? Because the players in the NBA are bringing in billions of dollars with a B. Your league has never turned a profit. If the NBA didn't support your league, you wouldn't even get the salary that you're getting. So that tells you right there, women don't bring a value to anything. They only take value from. It's very few women who actually bring value to something. Because majority of the time, and like I said, you can see this in everyday life. These women will get with a dude who they think they can manipulate because he's mentally weak. All of this is intertwined. So if this dude is, these basketball players, they're mentally weak. Why? Because their mama had multiple baby fathers, and all that DNA is wiring them to be in an utter state of constant confusion. And because they saw their mama act that way, that's why they always talk about your mama black, because they assume your mama's ratchet. So if your mama's ratchet, then you'll accept their ratchet behavior, and it will be normal to you. That way they can get over on you like your mama got over on your father. All right, that's enough of me talking right now. But just give it some thought. Think about that. It's been proven. Science has proven it. That when you have multiple sex partners, and especially if you have a child with one of them, that man's DNA is forever etched in stone in that female. And if you come behind that male and you put your semen in her, and she brings forth your child, now your DNA is forever etched in stone along with this other dude's DNA that is now going to write the DNA code for your child. So now you have another man's DNA and your DNA and your baby mother, whoever, DNA in that one child. That's 3 DNA strands being intertwined together. You telling me that ain't going to cause confusion? And I'm just using a simple mathematical situation. Most of the time, it's several baby daddies that have done this. All right, peace.